Worm War 1 was released on the Atari 2600 by 20th Century Fox in 1982. Your objective is to drive a tank through a city, blasting worms. I don't know if they're supposed to be giant worms, or if you're just some really tiny being in a tiny tank. The manual is ambiguous about all this. All I know is that the city is called Teriyaki, so do what you want with that information. The worms come in batches, where you deal with a few on a screen at a given time, then after wiping them out and moving on, or just moving on, you don't have to kill any of them, you'll get another group of worms. The catch is, though, that the screen auto-scrolls kinda sort of. It's more like your tank has to be moving at all times, because you can control the speed, and you can bring it down to a crawl, but you can't stop completely. So you're basically in control of the speed of the auto-scroll. Moving faster is risky because you might get yourself caught up in a log jam of worms, or trapped behind obstacles, but you also have to mind your fuel gauge. The 2-digit number represents how much gas is left, so you can't dilly-dally around. Sometimes you gotta move on quickly if you're low on fuel. In fact, you'll get more fuel refilled the faster you drive into these gas stations. Imagine if that's how it worked in real life. There's not a lot in terms of variety. The worms are the only enemies in the game, and all they do is wander back and forth. They don't change speed, and you don't get any power-ups or special attacks or anything. There are these blocky obstacles that the manual refers to as blocks. Oh, okay, they look exactly like what they're supposed to be. You gotta blast these things out of your way to hit the worms, access the gas stations, or just to simply access the other side, if there gets to be enough of them. In fact, they can even cause you to accidentally wipe out the gas station if you miss the block. And same goes for the worms too, actually, if they get in front of the gas station. You don't want to miss, or really you don't want to even fire if they're between you and the gas station. Interestingly, destroying the gas station blows it to hell and wipes all enemies on the screen at once. So while you'll miss your fuel refill, you'll also clear a path. So you might actually find it to be a benefit, if you've got enough gas in the tank. There is a variation where you can turn these blocks off, but that just makes the game way too fucking plain. I feel like they're a necessity. Plus, you actually get points for wiping them out, so there's that. You can also toggle whether or not the worms are invisible, although that's only partially true. They'll light up periodically for a brief moment, which prevents this mode from completely being a guessing game. I mentioned earlier that the worm's speed is always the same, but you can toggle between a fixed movement or randomize it for unpredictability. And you can also adjust the response of your brakes between two settings using the difficulty switch. Like I said, there's not a lot of variety, it's very straightforward. But everything is randomized so you never play the same game. Not that you're going to find yourself memorizing patterns here or anything, but it's cool to know that it's a different experience every time. Whether it's the worms, the blocks, or the gas stations, they're all spawned randomly. But where the game shines, as they often do in shooters like this, is in the 2-player mode, which has both the cooperative and competitive modes. It can be very intense. Even in single player, there's definitely an intensity level, and you'll find yourself restarting the game several times after a game over to give it one more try, which is a good measure of the game's fun factor level, which I feel is the most important trait of a game.